Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. Today I'm going to talk about the NBA, which is one of my favorite topics to talk about and to just nerd out about. I'm excited about this. I love following the NBA. It's the playoffs right now. So I'm going to go through these 10 things. These might be very controversial to some of you. They might be completely uninteresting to some of you. But it's my podcast and I want to do an episode on this, so let's get into it. I wanted to share 10 opinions that I have about the NBA right now. The NBA has gone through a lot of transition in the last couple of years, and especially in the last decade plus, the NBA looks completely different than it did, 25 years ago, or even like 15, 20 years ago. So I've got 10 opinions about the modern NBA era and certain players and the league itself. So I'd like to go through those. So number one, and by the way, I could do 30 opinions on this, but I just did like 10 that came to my mind, right? So here we go. Number one, LeBron James is the greatest overall basketball player in NBA history. Now, what I mean by that is the best overall physical specimen of a player. Like his longevity, but not just how long he's been able to stay in the league, because there are guys that have stayed in the league until they were 41, 42. But the fact that he's been able to maintain a high level of athleticism and aggression in his game and still be relevant in today's NBA. He's one of the top 25 players in the NBA right now, and he's 41 years old, which is insane. So that would be my number one. LeBron James is the greatest overall basketball player in NBA history. Number two, Michael Jordan is the greatest competitor in NBA history. I don't think there's anybody that's ever played in the NBA, or maybe even any sport ever, that's been as competitive as Michael Jordan. I would argue Cristiano Ronaldo has that competitiveness to him, but obviously Michael Jordan, for the sake of the NBA conversation, Michael Jordan is unmatched. Like, he was unmatched in his competitiveness. I mean, if you've ever watched the documentary, I believe it's called The Last Dance, every time I watch it, I'm just mind blown by how disturbing Michael Jordan's level of competition is. Like, I do not relate to that at all. Like, I understand being competitive, but this guy was he was in a completely different universe than most of humans. Like, his ability to just go at it because he refuses to lose was incredible. So I have him as the greatest competitor in NBA history. I believe he's the greatest competitor probably ever. And then number three, Bill Russell is the greatest champion in NBA history. Now, that's just a fact. The first two are kind of my opinions, but the most winningest player in NBA history is Bill Russell. There's no question. I mean, the numbers don't lie. He has 11 NBA championships. That's 5 more than Michael Jordan. That's 1 more than Michael Jordan and LeBron James's career put together. And I believe he stands alone. He's the greatest champion in NBA history. It's just a fact. At number 4 on my list here, Steph Curry's style of play has forever changed and ruined the NBA. So I'm talking about the three ball. The prominence of the three ball shot, okay, the 3-point shot. Steph Curry revolutionized the NBA. He forever changed it. People used to shoot the three, a couple times a game, and even sharpshooters were considered people that took maybe like 5 threes in a game, but even that was like a lot. And now you got Steph Curry who takes like 15, 2015, 2016 year came out, actually back in 2014, and he started taking like 10 threes a game, and then Klay Thompson beside him. They were called the Splash Brothers, for those of you who don't remember. Like, these guys, they were the 2 best shooters in the league on the same team. 2 of the best shooters in NBA history on the same team. A couple of years where the NBA Finals were just always the Golden State Warriors versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. During that time, it was well known that just because in the second quarter you might be up by 15, 20 points, that did not mean you were going to win the game. Because in the third quarter, the Splash Brothers were going to blow the doors off the game with a 15, 20, 25-point run of just knocking down threes in the third quarter and just smash the living daylights out of their opponents. That was their strategy a decade ago. Like, they were, and it forever revolutionized basketball. Like, it changed it completely. The way people play basketball now, they see the value of the three. People take threes before they do layups. It's crazy. However, I believe it ruined the NBA. The NBA is no longer fun to watch. When you watch a team, I'll say it this way. It's not that it's no longer fun in general. When you watch a team collectively take 50 three-point shots in one game. That's not fun. And then miss like most of them. It's not entertaining to watch. It's just sad. And you groan when you watch it. But 99.9% of them are not Steph Curry, or they're not even in that league. So like taking that many shots, brother, it ruins the NBA. It's difficult to watch. These playoffs have been tough. Now the playoffs are kind of a different, no pun intended, they're kind of a different ball game because it's a lot more physical in the playoffs, which I like. The refs don't give out as many flopping calls, although OKC is certainly getting their fair share this year. But usually the playoffs are a much more physical style of play. And so for that reason, it's more entertaining to watch. And I think it's done that way on purpose. But the regular season, the threes, man, it's just not as much fun. So thank you, Steph Curry, for forever changing and ruining basketball. Number 5, we're just going to get more and more controversial, guys. Number 5, the 2016 NBA championship by the Cleveland Cavaliers over the Golden State Warriors is the greatest championship run in NBA history. We're talking about a 72, 73 win Golden State Warriors team in the regular season. I mean, the same record as Michael Jordan's best season with the Bulls. That's the level they were on. Just an unbeatable team, or so everyone thought. And they were plowing through people. They get to Cleveland and they go up 3-1, which means it's over, right? Best of 7 series, you're up 3-1. You got to win one more in the next 3 games. Like, you're not going to lose 3 in a row. And then LeBron and Kyrie Irving single-handedly placed the entire Cleveland Cavaliers franchise and team and fan base on their backs and said, "We got you. Cleveland, this is for you." And they went on a 3-0 run and destroyed the Golden State Warriors, dismantled them in spectacular fashion with 2 of the most iconic NBA Finals moments ever recorded on back-to-back plays in the final Game 7. LeBron with the infamous LeBlock, as it's called, over Andre Iguodala, and then Kyrie Irving draining the 3 from deep over Steph, draining it over them to seal the fate late in the 7th. Steph Curry isn't one of the top 10 players of all time, top 15. You got to put him in there. And LeBron James has got to be, most people have him 2. I have him 1. You got to have him in your top 3. You're just insane if you don't. Like, you're talking about 2 of the apex predators, and at that moment, the 2 greatest players on the planet, outside of maybe Kevin Durant. Anyway, I believe that number 5, the 2016 NBA championship, was the greatest championship in NBA history by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 6, LeBron's scoring record will be broken within the next 10 years. Now, this is the one stat that, like, everybody disagrees with me on. Like, everyone says LeBron's scoring record will never be broken. But with the prominence of the 3-ball shot, which we talked about earlier, with the prominence of how people shoot the 3, how less and less physical the regular season has become, it becomes so much easier for teams to stat pad, especially when you consider that a lot of teams give up by the 3rd quarter if they're considerably behind by like 15 points. They'll just throw in, their bench, and the other team just runs up the score. So you have blowout games that were going to be closer games, but they end up being blowout games because the team that was losing in the 3rd just gives up and concedes the game because they don't want to play their starters and exhaust them, or they don't want to risk injury, or whatever the case is, right? Especially with these like super teams. Like, you got teams like the 76ers where they're just rest Joel Embiid if they consider the game a lock, instead of trying to push him in the regular season because they want him for the playoffs. Helped them go on a little bit of a run this year, but ultimately didn't bear fruit. So I believe LeBron's scoring record will be broken within the next 10 years. There's only a couple guys that could do it. I think Shea can do it. He's young. He's healthy. I think Anthony Edwards, if he goes on a tear, Ant can do it. Luka might be able to do it. We'll see if he stays healthy. I think Luka can do it. Durant won't touch it. Curry won't touch it. These guys, they're going to retire soon. They missed their chance. They were never in the running. As a LeBron fan, I just think that this is one that, looking at the modern NBA, I just don't see this being the untouchable record that like no one will touch for 30 years. Like, Kareem's record stood for like 30 years and no one touched it until LeBron broke his record. I don't think that's going to be the case with LeBron's record. I think within 10 years, it'll be gone. Like, somebody will pass it. Number 7, there will never be another NBA team to win 3 championships in a row. Think about it. The last team to win 3 championships in a row, I believe, was the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers, right? The Lakers three-peated in the early 2000s with Shaq and Kobe. And that was 20 years ago. Since then, what have been the most dominant teams in the NBA? I mean, you have to say it's been the Golden State Warriors. They've won the most chips. You gotta mention the Spurs in there, right? So you got the Spurs with multiple rings, you've got the Lakers with multiple rings, you've got the Golden State Warriors with multiple rings, but you don't have three in a row since Shaq and Kobe. And prior to that, obviously, you have MJ with three in a row, a break, and then three in a row. I believe MJ would have 7 or 8 rings in a row if he hadn't retired twice. And I hold him to that. That damaged his legacy, and that's on him. He had his reasons. We can get into that, but those runs of like 3 chips in a row, 4 chips in a row, I don't think we're going to see that again. In the last 6 years in the NBA, we've seen only one team win it over and over again. Since the Warriors won back-to-back chips in 17 and 18, there has not been a team to repeat a championship on back-to-back years. Now, obviously, the Golden State Warriors won again in 2022, but that was after a 4-year gap between their 2018 chip, right? So you got the Raptors, you've got the Bucks, you've got the Nuggets, you've got the Celtics, you've got OKC. Now OKC might win it this year. They're more than likely going to win unless there's a major upset. But I don't think anybody in the East can pull off a win against any of the teams in the West, like in a 7-game series. And I don't think the Spurs have the juice to knock out OKC. I think OKC is just too dominant, too strong, too much rest right now for them. They might win 2, but I don't think they're going to win 3. I just don't think the NBA is built that way anymore. I think players move around too much. I think there's so much talent in the league, and I think everybody plays the same way. So, like, a lot of teams are just kind of designed to face the same formatted team, and so it kind of smooths out that competition. Like, there was not a team as dominant defensively as the Bulls in the 90s outside of maybe the Jazz, right? But, like, even then, the Jazz never didn't win a chip during Jordan's run. I don't think there'll ever be another team to win 3 in a row. I just don't think so, and I think that's entertaining. I think that's entertaining for the league. Now, I don't think that's not the same as saying that I don't think there will be a team to win multiple championships ever again. I think OKC is gonna win multiple championships. I just don't see them pinning 3 in a row. I don't see another team doing that. I could be wrong, especially with the rise of Wembenyama with the Spurs. I think that's gonna be a huge rivalry, the same way it was the Cavs versus the Warriors in the, like, 10 years ago in the mid-2010s. I think this is what's gonna happen in the next 5 to 10 years with OKC and the Spurs. I think they're going to be the 2 teams that really like fight it out in the West. It's going to be the finals before the finals, if that makes sense. Those are going to be the two rivals. So I think they're going to trade chips for a while. I think Wembanyama's got a couple chips in him. We'll see what happens. My number 8 point. The 2020 Bubble Championship was the most unbiased championship in NBA history. And I can add to this, I believe it was the purest form of basketball in NBA history. Now, here's why I say this. There was no home court advantage in the 2020 championships. It's unlike any championship we've ever seen, or we probably ever will see again, unless they just decide to start doing the Super Bowl version of, hosting the NBA Finals, the final game, in a neutral location, which I don't think they'll do because they have a best of 7 series, right? Unless they play all 7 games in a neutral zone, which I don't think they'll do. I think the NBA is built around the whole home court advantage type, and this is something you have to overcome when you play out of town, stuff like that. The 2020 bubble was the purest form of unbiased, just level everybody on the same level of basketball, the same playing field. A lot of people give the NBA championship because, well, it was the bubble, it doesn't count, which is just such an illogical conclusion. Because if you're implying that it doesn't count because there weren't fans, then that's an argument from opinion because it didn't change any of the way the players played at all. It didn't change any of the team formations. It didn't change any of the competition. If the other option is, and I've heard this from people, well, because it was the bubble, LeBron had advantage. How exactly did LeBron have an advantage in the bubble? How exactly did the Lakers have an advantage? Everybody was locked in these rooms at Disney World in the bubble. Right. It was a Disney World. Locked in this bubble, and they were unable to see their families, see their friends. They just had to focus solely on basketball for several months of the playoffs. And so everybody was put on the same level. Yes, it was difficult. I'm not saying it wasn't difficult for them to not see their families. I'm not saying it wasn't difficult for them not to play in front of fans, but everybody was on the same level of difficulty. That's my point. There was no home court advantage. So everybody had to bring their best A game, and they had no excuses. Well, they couldn't use the excuse of like, well, it's we always lose in OKC, so we'll get them on the home games. We always lose at the Lakers Stadium. No, you couldn't say that stuff because everybody was on the same level playing field, and everybody played. And there were some baller moments in those finals. Like Jimmy Butler's run in the finals with Miami was insane. Jimmy Butler's level of perseverance and his physical stamina is something that needs to be studied, because that man put that franchise on his back alone and dragged them to, I think it was a game 5 or game 6 of the finals against the Lakers, which they ultimately did lose to the Lakers. I thought it was an incredible performance by Dwight Howard as well. I thought there were a lot of, we saw the emergence of like Jokic, the beast. Like we knew Jokic was a good player, but I feel like the 2020 playoffs were like Jokic's coming out party as like, I'm going to be the next guy. And, he didn't win and they didn't go very far in the bubble, but what he did to bring his team there was like, okay, this guy is a formidable offensive weapon. So that's number 8. I think the 2020 bubble championship was the most unbiased championship in NBA history. So for me, it was the purest form of basketball there ever was. Like it was the purest finals we could ever see and probably ever will see, just because I don't think they'll ever do that format again. Number 9, I think the NBA should extend the three-point line and make successful dunks worth a free throw attempt. Okay, so this one's kind of just like, I'm very serious about the first 8. This one's just kind of like, I think they need to do, the NBA has to do something. This harkens back to point number 4, which is Steph Curry's style of play has forever changed and ruined the NBA. I think the 3-ball shot we need to nerf this thing, man. Like everybody's shooting threes. It's just annoying. I think they need to pull the 3-point line farther back so that there are no corner shots on the threes. You pull it back as a straight line. So it's almost like a half court shot, but like just a little bit under a half court shot. So it makes it a lot harder to shoot the 3-ball. Obviously, people like Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, these guys are not going to have trouble with that. They'll be fine. But overall, it'll nerf that whole mindset of, oh, I'm a 3-point shooter. And everybody on every NBA team thinks they're a 3-point assassin. I mean, we got centers out there taking 3-point shots all the time now. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, post up and dunk on somebody. What do we play in the paint? Nobody's playing in the paint anymore. That's why I think the other part of that is make a successful dunk worth a free throw attempt. That creates a 3-point play on a dunk. I think that is huge. I think a lot of guys would jump at the chance to, instead of just, forcing themselves to learn how to shoot threes because threes are more valuable. I think if you add an extra carrot at the end of a successful dunk and they get a free throw attempt to turn that into a 3-point play, dude, yeah. That'll change the game, and I think it'll make the game way more entertaining for fans, which is why I want to do it. I understand it'll screw up all the NBA stats and scores, and everybody will, suddenly become a dunker again, and the 2-ball will be more important, and everybody's free throw percentage will go way up. I don't care about that. For the sake of the fans, which I am one, I would like to see more dunking, more vicious, visceral, throw down, shatter the glass dunking in basketball. That's what I want. We want to see guys pummel each other in the paint. That's basketball. Bring it back. That's the only way to save it, in my opinion. Otherwise, it just becomes this hybrid, sterile, 3-point shooting contest that nobody gives a crap about. Okay, number 10. This one's just because I see so much flopping and so much like embarrassing, like schoolgirl fighting in the NBA when people actually like go at each other. Allow NBA players to square up and fight on the court, just like in the NHL. So in the NHL, like you got guys, the refs will actually allow 2 dudes to like throw their gloves off and then like punch each other. The NBA should allow that. You should be allowed to throw a certain amount of punches, or you should have like 5 seconds to finish out just fisticuffs, man, just in the court, just boom, boom. 2 guys, they're square up, and then boom, 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 boom. Ref calls it. They both get kicked out of the game. Or send them to the bench for like a quarter. They're barred for a whole quarter, right? So that like if it's in the 4th quarter and this happens, you're out for the rest of the game. If it's in the 3rd quarter, you're out for that quarter. You come back the next quarter, whatever it is, right? If NHL players can batter the crap out of each other and physically punch each other with no helmets and no pads in the middle of the ice rink in hockey and still play the rest of the game, like having just being penalized by sitting out for a little bit, then we should allow players in the NBA to do it. I guarantee you this would immediately cut down on all this flopping garbage that we've been seeing, especially with the OKC flopping garbage we've been seeing. Like these playoff runs. Like they don't even need to be floppy. They're the best team in the league, and yet somehow they've decided to be floppers anonymous. It's ridiculous and just off-putting. Let players square up and fight on the court. Just let them fight. Let them duke it out. We need to see Dylan Brooks and LeBron James fight each other for reals. That's what we want. I want to see Julius Randle in a pair of boxing gloves knocking some dudes out. That's what I want. I know that Julius Randle missed his calling as a fighter. You could see that dude does not back down from anybody. He's a quiet dude, but he's strong. And bro, he played with Kobe. Like, he was trained under Kobe. This dude don't mess around. Like, he's got Julius Randle can scrap. I know he can. He can throw down for sure. So I want to see a couple guys in the league. I'd love to see Wembenyama fight somebody, like just a 7'9" like monster, just punching down at people like like the alien, you know? Like, can you imagine Wembenyama getting knocked out and like falling for like 5 minutes because he's so tall? That would be hilarious. This is entertainment, y'all. This is just all in fun. These last two points, just in fun. But I think they should implement some sort of like ability for them to air out their beefs. Maybe they arm wrestle in the middle of the court, or they do rock paper scissors to see gets like the slap competition, right? That would be fun. They'd each get a slap until one of them quits, right? Or somebody passes out. Can you imagine Wembenyama with his massive, like, frying pan-sized hand coming down from, like, the upper stratosphere above the clouds and rocket shipping that hand down to you and just capping you in the face? And, like, his hand is so big, like, his fingers actually touch both of your ears, just wraps around your head and just, like, flings you across the room. Can you imagine what a slap would feel like from Victor Wembanyama's hand? That would be insane. Anyway, those are my 10 opinions about the NBA. They don't have to be your opinions, but they are mine, so I decided I'd share them. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you guys later.